In Salem, danger never asks permission. It creeps in quietly, hides in the shadows, and waits, until the exact moment a single mistake can shatter everything. And this time, the target is Shawn Brady. Welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're diving into one of the most intense, heartbreaking days of our lives has teased in months. The shootout that sends Shawn collapsing to the pavement, bleeding, silent, and fighting for his life. This isn't just another cop storyline. This is a tragedy that ripples across Salem. A moment that forces old wounds back open. And a twist that may change Shawn and Belle forever. Let's break it all down. Before Shawn Brady ever reaches for his gun, before the blast of a single bullet tears through the quiet Salem night, a chain reaction has already begun. And at the center of it is Liam Sellico, a young man whose life has been unraveling thread by thread, faster than anyone around him ever realized. Liam didn't wake up planning to break the law. He didn't set out with a weapon or a plan. In fact, after Abe Carver recently pulled him aside and gave him that fatherly warning, a warning that almost sounded like a final chance, Liam wanted to stay out of trouble. But Salem has a way of dragging vulnerable people into the darkness. A wrong friend, a wrong place, a wrong moment, that's all it takes. Liam ends up mixed with a group already skirting the edge of criminal activity. People who thrive on chaos, who don't care about consequences, and who definitely don't care about the scared young man standing among them. He's not the leader. He's not the threat. If anything, he looks more like the kid praying the night ends without a disaster. But Salem doesn't show mercy. When things escalate, when the tension spikes and an argument spirals toward violence, police sirens slice through the air. J.J. Devereaux arrives with a hard shout, gun drawn, demanding everyone freeze. Liam instantly raises his hands, backing into the glow of the headlights, shaking, eyes wide with fear. He knows he's not guilty of anything specific, but he also knows his record, his reputation, his past mistakes. One wrong move and he's the headline again. What Liam doesn't see, what none of them see, is the shadow stepping into the chaos behind them. A trained officer. A man with instincts sharpened by trauma. A man who ran toward danger one too many times. Shawn Brady. And the moment he enters the scene, the night takes a fatal turn. The sneak peek footage doesn't waste a second. Police lights wash the street in red and blue. JJ stands firm, weapon raised, voice steady but tense as he commands the suspects to freeze. Liam is trembling behind him, illuminated in the strobe of flashing lights, hands up, lips shaking, the picture of someone who realizes he's inches away from disaster. Then it happens. A shadow shifts. A figure darts toward the left. Someone yells, sharp, panicked, impossible to decipher. JJ twists. Liam flinches. And Shawn Brady steps into frame, already reacting, already calculating the threat. His eyes lock onto movement. His training kicks in. His weapon rises. And in the blink of an eye, Shawn fires. The first shot cracks like thunder. Then another. Then the world explodes into pure chaos. The camera angle shifts, quick, frantic, jarring, capturing the confusion as bodies scatter and JJ shouts orders that no one is calm enough to follow. And then, the moment nobody saw coming, a new flash. A sharper gunshot. A different angle. And this time, it hits Shawn. The impact throws him backward. His body jolts violently as if pulled by an invisible hand. His firearm slips from his grip, skidding across the asphalt. The second bullet, if there is one, lands almost immediately after, and Shawn's knees buckle. His hand claws at the air, reaching for something, anything, balance, breath, survival. But there's nothing to grab. Shawn collapses fast and hard, the sound of his body hitting the pavement echoing louder than any gunshot. The camera lingers just long enough to show the shock in his eyes before they flicker, dimming under the weight of pain. JJ's reaction is instant, raw panic cutting through his training. Officer down. I need paramedics now. His voice cracks with desperation, echoing through the alleyway as he lunges to Shawn's side. Blood begins spreading beneath Shawn, dark and alarming under the flashing lights. JJ tries to stabilize him, calling his name, patting his cheek, ordering him to stay awake, but Shawn's breaths are shallow, fading, slipping out of rhythm. This isn't a heroic fall. This isn't a glancing injury. This is catastrophe, the kind of moment that rewrites the path of every person standing there. The chaos, the gunfire, the scream, the collapse, it all happens within seconds. But the consequences, those are only beginning. J.J. Devereaux may be trained for chaos, but nothing prepares an officer for the moment a friend, a fellow cop, hits the ground and stops moving. J.J. drops to his knees beside Shawn, panic breaking through every layer of professionalism he has. His gloves slip against the blood pooling beneath Shawn's jacket, warm and thick, spreading too fast across the pavement. Shawn. Hey, Shawn, stay with me. His voice shakes. His hands tremble as he presses down on the wound, trying to slow the bleeding. Shawn's eyes flutter, just barely, struggling to focus, struggling to stay conscious. His breaths come in sharp, uneven gasps, each one weaker than the last. This is no ordinary injury. A gunshot to the torso can puncture a lung, tear through arteries, trigger shock in seconds. And JJ knows it. The world around him becomes a blur, flashing lights, screaming suspects, distant sirens, all fading into background noise. The only thing that matters is keeping Shawn alive long enough to get him to a trauma surgeon. He fumbles for his radio, shouting into it, "Officer down." Multiple GSWs. "We need EMS now." The desperation in his voice is unmistakable. Behind him, Liam stands frozen like a statue, arms still raised, eyes locked on Shawn's lifeless body. His face is pale, his jaw trembling. He didn't shoot. He didn't move. He didn't even speak. But the guilt is already sinking in, poisoning his thoughts. He was there. He was part of the chaos. And Salem has a long history of turning fear into blame. The sirens grow louder, from distant wails to a deafening scream as the ambulance screeches into the alley. Paramedics rush out, pushing JJ aside with urgent efficiency. BP dropping. Get a line in. Prepare for intubation. Their voices overlap in a frantic medical rhythm. They lift Shawn onto the stretcher, his body limp, his skin turning a frightening shade of gray. JJ watches helplessly as the doors slam shut. He saved countless strangers on the job, but tonight, he couldn't save Shawn Brady from the bullet he never saw coming. And as the ambulance speeds away, red lights bouncing off the alley walls, JJ realizes the nightmare is only beginning. The moment Shawn arrives at Salem University Hospital, the energy shifts from chaotic urgency to suffocating dread. Orderlies rush the stretcher down the corridor, shouting medical codes. The wheels squeal against the tile floor. The automatic doors crash open. And just like that, Shawn disappears behind a curtain of doctors and machines. The hallway falls silent. JJ stands alone, covered in Shawn's blood, staring at the empty space where his friend vanished. He wipes his hands on his uniform, but the red stains cling, refusing to fade. Minutes pass, or maybe hours. Time becomes impossible to measure. Then, a familiar voice cracks through the stillness. Where is he? Where's Shawn? Belle. She bursts through the hallway, frantic and breathless, her purse slipping from her shoulder as she rushes toward JJ. She looks around wildly, searching for answers, searching for him. And when she finally sees the dried blood on JJ's hands, her heart breaks before anyone speaks. What happened? She whispers, voice trembling. What did he walk into? JJ tries to speak, but the words choke in his throat. He can only manage a broken explanation: gunfire, chaos, multiple shots. Shawn collapsed before he could reach him. Belle presses her hand to her mouth, tears filling her eyes instantly. It doesn't matter that they're divorced. It doesn't matter that they've hurt each other, healed from each other, and tried to move on. In this moment, she is not Shawn's ex-wife. She is the woman who loves him in a way no one else ever will. Fear, guilt, rage, regret, they all hit her at once. She remembers every fight they never resolved, every promise they made, every time she walked away, and every time he forgave her anyway. And now, Shawn's life hangs between survival and catastrophe. A doctor pushes through the double doors, looking grim. Belle runs to him immediately. Is he alive? Is he breathing? Can I see him? The doctor hesitates before answering, a hesitation that says everything. He's still with us, he replies softly, but the injuries are severe. He's losing blood. We're preparing him for emergency surgery. Belle nearly collapses. A coma is possible. Complications are likely. And the road ahead is terrifyingly uncertain. Belle presses her palm against the cold hospital wall, steadying herself, grounding herself, as the reality sinks in. Shawn Brady, the man she shared her life with, may never wake up again. And as she stares at the red light above the operating room door, Belle realizes that no matter how many years passed, no matter how complicated their history became, she still loves him. She always did, and she may be about to lose him forever. While Shawn lies unconscious in surgery, fighting for every breath, a very different kind of battle ignites across Salem: the search for the truth. Within minutes of the shooting, Salem PD shifts into emergency lockdown mode. The alley is taped off. Evidence markers scatter across the concrete. Flashlights sweep over shattered glass, bullet casings, and the blood that still stains the street where Shawn fell. But the biggest question hovering over the scene is the one no one can answer. Who fired the shot that nearly killed one of their own? And the deeper detectives dig, the more unsettling the mystery becomes. There's no clear angle, no obvious shooter, no definitive trajectory, just chaos, shadows, and too many possibilities. Let's break down the leading theories shaking Salem to its core. 1. A hidden gunman fired the shot. The most alarming theory, and the one Salem PD fears most, is that a second assailant was hiding in the darkness. Someone Liam unknowingly followed. Someone he shouldn't have trusted. Someone who slipped away the moment the bullets started flying. If this shadow shooter exists, it means Shawn wasn't struck by bad luck, he was targeted. A planned hit. A deliberate ambush. A crime designed to send a message. And that message may not be for Shawn, but for the police department itself. 2. A ricocheted round hit Shawn. Another possibility haunts JJ late into the night. What if one of their own bullets hit Shawn by accident? Gunfights in tight alleyways are unpredictable. Shawn fired. JJ fired. The criminals fired. Metal, brick, concrete, anything could have caused a ricochet that struck Shawn from an unexpected angle. This theory is the most painful, because it means the tragedy wasn't malice, but a devastating mistake. A mistake that could destroy friendships, careers, trust within the department, and worst of all, it could mean Shawn was struck by a bullet meant to protect him. 3. Liam becomes the easy suspect. Even though Liam never touched a weapon, Salem sees what it wants to see. His past, his record, his reputation. It paints him as a criminal before he opens his mouth. He was there. He was warned by Abe. He was pulled into the wrong crowd. And Salem has always preferred a clean narrative over a complicated truth. It wouldn't be the first time a frightened young man becomes the perfect scapegoat. Even if he's innocent, even if he's telling the truth, even if he's just another victim of the chaos. 4. The shot came from an unexpected source. Days of Our Lives loves one thing more than drama: a slow burn twist. The promo's deliberate ambiguity suggests something bigger, a storyline that may stretch far beyond this alleyway. Perhaps a returning villain, a revenge plot, a secret operation brewing beneath the surface. Shawn's shooting could be the first move in a storyline that drags half of Salem into danger. And that is what makes this investigation so terrifying. Because the truth isn't just hidden, it may be designed to stay hidden. When you look at the pacing, the tone, and the emotional setup, one thing becomes crystal clear. This isn't a random shooting. This is a storyline catalyst, the spark that will ignite weeks of fallout. So what happens next? Let's break down the ripples this tragedy will unleash. Belle's emotional spiral. The return of feelings she tried to bury. Belle's world shatters the moment she sees Shawn fighting for his life. Seeing him unconscious, bloodied, pale, fragile, forces every buried emotion to the surface. Her regrets, her unresolved guilt, her love she thought she'd buried. This tragedy traps Belle in a painful emotional loop. What if she loses him before she ever gets the chance to make things right? If Shawn slips into a coma, Belle will become the emotional core of this storyline, sitting by his bedside, begging him to wake up. And that emotional spiral could pull her right back into Shawn's orbit, whether she's ready or not. Jay's crisis of guilt. A cop broken from the inside. JJ has faced trauma before, but nothing hits harder than nearly losing a fellow officer in a situation you commanded. He gave the order. He stepped in first. He tried to control the chaos, and chaos still won. The guilt is immediate, heavy, unshakable. JJ may question whether he should remain on the force, whether he could have done more, whether his hesitation, his angle, his decisions led to Shawn taking the bullet. This incident could be the storyline that pushes JJ toward a major emotional crisis, or a major turning point. A new villain emerging, a hidden puppet master? If this was an intentional shooting, Salem may be facing a new threat. A gunman who vanished. A setup no one saw coming. A criminal group Liam never meant to cross. The writers may be using Shawn's injury as the dramatic doorway to introduce a long-term villain, someone calculating, ruthless, and deeply connected to Salem's underground world. And if this villain targeted Shawn once, they may not be done. Shawn's fight for survival, a man forever changed. Gunshot trauma doesn't just tear flesh, it rewrites minds. If Shawn survives, he won't be the same man. He may wake up colder, more withdrawn, determined to find answers, or consumed by the trauma of nearly dying on duty. And if he wakes up from a coma? That opens the door for emotional amnesia, PTSD arcs, or a renewed drive to hunt down whoever pulled the trigger. This tragedy becomes the crucible that reshapes Shawn Brady's future, as a cop, a man, and possibly as Belle's still beating heart. Days of Our Lives isn't just giving fans a shock moment. It's crafting a storyline that will echo for months. A shootout in the shadows. A beloved detective collapsing in a pool of blood. A family ripped open by fear. A mystery with no clear answers. This isn't just another plot twist. This is a turning point, one that will change the tone of the show, shake relationships, and expose secrets no one expected. At the center of it all stands one man, Shawn Brady. A son, a father, an officer, a fighter now hanging on by a thread. What happened in that alley is only the beginning. And when the truth finally emerges, when we learn who fired that fatal shot, Salem will never look the same again. So stay close, stay alert, and stay tuned, because this tragedy, it's about to rewrite the lives of everyone connected to Shawn Brady.